All right, guys, it is Vincent, and I am very, very, very happy to say that we finally got the Rocket Structure deck. I've been holding on to the core set for Rockets since the day it came out about 2 years ago, hoping for the day that we'd get real support for them. And here it is. Now, this deck profile is going to be a little bit different than what you're probably going to see online or in the OCG, that whole Guard Dragon shenanigans. I want to try this deck out as a stun variant. The Guard Dragons are cool and all, but every deck can do it, honestly. But Rockets have a unique control kind of style where their effects pop cards and send cards to the grave, banish cards. So I wanted to play on that and make a deck based around that mechanic. So this is going to be my variant. I will be testing this extensively during the weekends to come, so I can't wait to try it. But this is the deck I've been messing around with online, so let's get started. Just a quick note, it's going to be a little different than what I originally made it because we don't have Striker Dragon yet. So I had to make some small changes to accommodate for that. And I'll go over what those changes are in a moment. But we'll start off with 3 copies of Magna Rocket. This is definitely one of the better rockets. If it's targeted by a Link monster effect, as a quick effect, you can destroy this card and then send one monster on the field to the graveyard. Non-destruction, non-targeting removal. It's really good. This is definitely one of the main cards you want to have on your board when you're done making your Borrelsword or your Borreload. Really important card. And all the rockets share the same effect, or at least most of them, that if they're destroyed by a card effect, they can special summon another one from the deck. So they have recursion and all sorts of good stuff. 3 copies of the new Rocket, Rocket Tracer. This is your level 4 tuner, which is amazing on its own, but more importantly, it has an effect that you can target one card you control, destroy it, and then special summons a rocket from the deck, except for itself. But that's still all that you need. This allows you to bring out your Borreload Savage Dragon, along with some other rockets. You can make some other synchros, extend the board so that way you have more materials. The list goes on and on with what this can do. So, really great card. 2 copies of Silver Rocket Dragon. This one's a little lackluster in its ability, but it can come in really, really clutch against certain matchups, Sky Strikers especially, because when a Link monster targets a face-up card in the field, you can quick effect destroy this card, then look at your opponent's extra deck and banish one card from it. So say goodbye to Kagari, or any other one of that could be threatening to you. Really good card. And then during the end phase, if it's in the graveyard because it's destroyed by battle or card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon another rocket. So really good, strong attack, and nice disruption overall. 1 copy of Rocket Recharger. This is a interesting hand trap in a sense. So if a dark monster you control, special summon from the extra deck, is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card from the hand to the or field to the graveyard, and then target one of those destroyed monsters, special summon it. So this has the ability to recur your boss monsters. It has to be one of the different names that was destroyed, but you can swap out Borrel's for Borrel's Sword, any Link Force for Link 3, whatever your situation calls for. And not only that, but while you control a dark monster, special summon from the extra deck, this card can't be destroyed, can't be targeted by attacks. So it's 2100 defense, which is big enough on its own, but it also prevents itself from being destroyed by battle, so it creates a wall for itself too, so it's not that bad to bring it out as a defensive measure. 1 copy of Auto Rocket Dragon. When it's targeted, you could destroy a face-up spell or trap. Send 1 spell or trap on the field to the graveyard. So, non-targeting removal for back row. I would run more of this, but I don't know what the meta's looking like currently, so you could always up this to 2 if you feel like it's going to be more back row centric, but still a really good card. And of course, like the others, they float on destruction. 1 copy of Metal Rocket Dragon. This card is really good. It has the ability to plus super hard because if it's targeted by a Link monster effect, you can tribute it, target it to destroy itself, and then it destroys every card in the same column as it. Really good nuke. Destroying monsters and spells and traps is really fantastic. Just a really good option in different situations. Your shotgun card, which is Shell Rocket Dragon. It destroys everything in the zones in front of it and adjacent. So if you're destroying a monster in the main monster zone and there's 2 spaces left and right of it where monsters are, it'll blow up those monsters as well. Really good card. Definitely on the heavier control aspect. I might run this at 2. Again, that's meta dependent on whether or not we have big board deck or a back row deck, so something you might want to play around with the ratios. 1 copy of Rokket Synchron. Your main tuner, you're going to be using this to go into a lot of your synchro plays. Definitely really good in the fact that it's a level 1. If you want to run 1-for-1, I do not, but that's because they have quick launch, so no need for that. But not only that, when this card is normal summoned, you can target a level 5 or higher dark monster from your graveyard and special summon it, which makes it really good for just going into big monsters immediately. The monsters effects are negated, but that's irrelevant because you're going to be using it for material. And then the 1 copy of a Nest Rokket. I really don't know how to pronounce it, but whatever. It's just an effect veiler effect. That monster permanent has its effects negated when it's targeted by a link monster, so pop this and then target a monster. It has its effects negated. Really good, really good, really good. Big booty. 2200 defense for a level 1. 2 copies of Absorroder Dragon. This is something Rockets really needed. They needed more bodies on board without any real conditions that need to be met. So if you control a Rocket monster, you could just slam this monster down. That is once per turn. However, it is a level 7, which makes Rokket Synchron work with this extremely well. And that being said, also has a graveyard effect that if it's sent to the graveyard, you add a Rocket monster from your deck to your hand. So recursion on top of free summon, it's got everything you need. The 1 copy of the Strudo. I'm running Black Rose in this deck because it is a more stun variant. So the Strudo is something you could easily get into the graveyard to help you with that. Easily make a Black Rose. If you target one of your other Rockets that aren't level 4, you can make other Synchros as well. Auto Rocket's a level 3, so you could target that. This becomes a 4. Then get one of your other Rockets out. That's a 4. You can go into a level 8 or a level 8 Synchro or a rank 4. Just a constant staple in Dragon decks. And then for material's sake, we're running 1-1 of the Chaos Dragons. The dark ones, really, you don't want to see this one at all because all of your dragons are dark. You really want to see the light one, but it's important to run one and the other because it's just a free material. So consider this your Garnet, and this good at any time. Now for the spells, because we don't have Striker Dragon currently, I'm going to maximize on Boot Sector Launch and 1 copy of Terraforming. You really want to see this card as much as possible during the mid game. Early game it can be really good for as well for getting materials out quickly, but it's more important later on in the game. It has 2 effects. First one is you can special summon 2 Rockets from your hands with different names, so this really makes your clunky hands not so clunky. And then the other effect is if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon Rockets from the graveyard in defense position to make up the difference. So helps you catch up. It gives your Rockets a little bit of a boost, 300 attack and defense, and also unclogs your hand. So really mandatory card. When we get Striker Dragon, this will be searchable, so you can run 1 or 2 copies. But for now, we're just going to max out on it. 3 copies of Quick Launch. Quick Launch is fantastic. Lets you special summon a Rocket from your deck, no questions asked, and just destroy during the end phase. But that doesn't matter because you're going to link away with it, and or it's going to get destroyed and swap for a better Rocket that you want, triggering the Rocket effects. So, fantastic. 2 copies of Rapid Trigger. This is the fusion spell. It's very unique. And it is a quick play, so this allows you to get a little cheeky with your extra Rockets on board. You can future summon a Rocket for the extra check by destroying face-up materials on the board, which is really important because that'll proc all your Rockets' effects. And that makes it quite unique. And everybody's been talking about this card since they've seen it. It was released. It really is quite something. But it being a quick play really does come in handy. 2 copies of World Legacy Guard Dragon. The moving effect is not important, but basically it's just a free special summon for your Rockets on board. You just want to get extenders, so this is definitely one of the better ones. Pretty much for that reason. 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. I wanted to run Squib Draw at first, but the problem with Squib Draw is, although it destroys your Rocket and then you get your Rocket back at the end phase to draw 2 cards, destroying your Rocket's not something you really want to do because you want bodies on board to make Link monsters and Synchro plays. So I don't see destroying it as important, unfortunately. So Allure of Darkness is just better for that reason. Foolish Burial. Send cards to the graveyard that you want in the graveyard. No real explanation here. Dragon Triumph for the same thing. Monster Reborn. Natural Extender. Helps bring out your boss monsters after you make the first make them the first time around, so really good. 3 copies of Called by the Grave. You want your plays to go through, you want your rockets to float, and you can't afford to be stopped, so mandatory. And then finally, 2 copies of Guard Dragon Catalyst, Cataclysm. I prefer this over the new trap card that came in the structure deck because for 2 reasons. One, there is more of a niche for the other one. It requires you to have a really high level, high link rating link monster to pop multiple cards. And it's kind of like you have to wait for that opportune moment to get really a lot of value. While this card is just tribute a dragon and then just pop 2 cards. It could be any 2 cards. And there's more of a window for that to be applicable than anything else. So the 2 copies of this are way better than the new trap card in my honest opinion. And now onto the extra deck. One of the new boss monsters, Borreload Furious Dragon. It just takes 2 Dark Dragon monsters and a quick effect. You can target a monster you control and one your opponent controls. Pop them. Very simple effect. Really good quick effects as well because this can stop your opponent's plays without you having to commit a lot of resources. And then if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it and then target 1 Dark Link monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Can't use its effects, but usually it's used to bring out one of your other big beaters, so really good card. And I kind of like it a lot, honestly, especially since you can bring it out as a quick play. So it's like disruption on disruption. It's fantastic. 1 Borreload X-Charge Dragon. This is one of the better rank 4s. Neither player can target this Xyz summon card with card effects except its own. It's really just a big beater, but more importantly, you can detach material to target 1 face-up monster on the field. It loses 600 attack and defense, and then you can special summon a Borrel Dragon from your graveyard and banish it during the end phase, but who cares? You just want to bring out a big beefy monster and another big beefy monster and just swing for game, close it out. You are a control deck, so you reduce the board state and then swing over with whatever else you have left over afterwards. It's really about that. Now, you can't attack directly, but with the attack points being so high on your monsters, this doesn't matter too much. You usually can swing for game between attacks, so really good card. 1 copy of Babushka. I got a little bit of inspiration from the OCG from past months. This card really is good. I know that there's a lot of Link monsters, but there's also a lot of not Link monsters now. And with you having mostly rank level 4s in your deck, and this being a control variant, there's nothing wrong with making this card, getting 2 rockets from the float abilities, and then passing. Really just creates a big wall for your opponent to kind of get around. And then you can go on the offensive the next turn. So I really do like this card. I think it's definitely underrated and should be played more in the TCG. The 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon, again, just trying to reduce the board state, blows up all the cards on the field, and your rockets come back if they're destroyed by card effects, so therefore you just plus at the end of the turn regardless. Copy of Borreload Savage Dragon, really good card, just the constant negate, big body, really important to bring out on your turn 1 plays if you can, so that way you have a negate on board, and it's just a really good card. 1 copy of Beals. I was struggling to try to find more level 8s. I might just substitute this for something else later down the line, depending on the meta, but this is kind of one of those situational cards. You can switch this out for whatever you feel like for your deck. Depends on your locals, your meta, whatever the case may be, but it's just a really good card overall. Hard to get rid of. 1 copy of Linkaribo. You have some level 1, so you want to take advantage of that. Dillinger's Dragon. This card has been sitting in the back burner for a lot of decks until this deck's release. So once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can target an attack position monster your opponent controls that did not declare an attack, which is a little specific, and destroy it. And then they take damage equal to the original monster attack. But that's not what we're here. What we're here for is that if a rocket monster is special summoned from your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. So it just gives you more materials. And it's a link too, which helps you go into your boards a lot faster. You get this, you get a rocket, and then you bring out another rocket, normal summon or special summon, quick draw, whatever. And it just helps you get to those link 4s faster. 1 copy of Booster Dragon. This is definitely one of the link 2s we needed for a while for the Rocket deck. Glad we got it sooner than later, but again, we didn't have the proper support. But it's basically a link 2 that can target monsters, so use that to facilitate your Rocket plays. And its effect is if you target a face-up monster on the field, it gains 500 attack and defense. Your opponent can activate cards in response to the activation. Shame it's not a quick effect, but you can't have everything. And then if this link summon card is destroyed by a battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you target another dragon monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So recursive monsters and activates your effects, decreases attack points. It's got it all. And now for some other stun cards. Topologic Bomber Dragon. We already know what that does. Your big Borrel cards, Borrelsword and Borreload. One swings for OTK, one controls the board a little better. Pick your poison and use their effects to your advantage. We have 2 copies of Quad Borrel Dragon, so this is the new support as well. You can discard 1 card and then target a face-up monster on the field, and you can't special summon Link 2s or lower from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. But you destroy the targeted monster, then if it was a Link monster, you special summon any number of rockets with different names from your hand or graveyard up to the Link rating. So lots of floating, lots of material gathering, and disruption as well. Again, it is a Link monster that targets face-up monsters, so you can use that to facilitate your rocket plays. Just an overall good card in general. We really like the Link 2s in this deck. And I was trying out Topologic Zeroboros. This isn't the best card, I'll be very honest with you, but banishing all the cards on the field, provided you can get your opponent into falling into this trap or locking him out of the extra monster zone, is fantastic. So what it does is you can't special summon monsters or set monsters to a zone it points to. So you can't force this yourself. But it can really put your opponent in an awkward position where that if they are summoning a monster to a zone a Link monster points to, you banish all cards on the field. That's quite something. And in a control versus control matchup, this hurts a lot more because they don't want to commit resources before they trigger this. So it makes them play suboptimally. And then if this card is banished during the standby phase, it comes back with more attack because it gets 200 attack for each card that's banished. So it's just a big beater. But in the right scenario, I feel like this card can be really good in the right meta. Again, I don't know what this meta entails right now, but it's nice to have the option, if available, and create those awkward game states for your opponent where they have to make suboptimal plays, and then you can pop off the next turn. But that's going to do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I know it's not the Guard Dragon shenanigans that you all wanted to see, but we're going to have that to you shortly. But I hope you enjoyed my take, and if you have any suggestions, comments, or any spicy text you'd like to share, please leave it in the comment section down below. Click the like button, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Thank you.